guys, welcome back to another vlog. So this is going to be a really special one. I am currently in a really small and remote town called Churchill, which is in the north of Manitoba, and I am here on a polar bear trip to basically photograph polar bears over the next few days and spend a bit of time in Churchill and kind of exploring this area. And I'm really looking forward to this trip. It's kind of a bucket list trip for me, and it's going to be really special. So I arrived today. We flew up from Winnipeg this morning, and we're just kind of going around the town and just kind of getting our bearings. I'm just by the ocean in the Hudson Bay, and I've got the group behind me. I'm here on a tour with Frontiers North, and we've kind of got to like stay together because this is polar bear territory, which is crazy to say, and it's really crazy when they're like, you know, don't go out of sight, don't go behind the rocks, you never know when there's going to be a polar bear, and they're actually being serious. So it's really surreal to be here, and I can't wait to take you along.
So they primarily find their food by relying on their sense of smell. Here is a replica of a polar bear skull. This is the size of their sinus. They can smell seals from up to 2 miles away. We know from years of tracking data in this subpopulation that when that sea ice concentration is 50% or less, that's when bears will typically head to shore. It's been 117 days since the bears have been on the sea ice. So we call this that fasting period. The threshold for polar bear fasting is 180 days. With this threshold, this is when we can start to see sharp, dramatic declines in the subpopulation. We'll lose the adult males and particularly the juveniles. And we want the juveniles to, of course, get recruited into the population.
So we've just checked in to our hotel, which is in Churchill town. It's a very small place. It's very remote. You can only get to Churchill by rail or by air, but we've just spent today kind of exploring the town a little bit, looking at the murals. We had a session with Polar Bear International, and we're going to head over and have a session with Parks Canada now, and just kind of expand our knowledge and understanding of the polar bear population and kind of how it works and like why it's the polar bear capital of the world. Actually, just after I filmed the intro to this vlog, we drove a little bit up the coastline and we spotted a helicopter, and basically the helicopter was just like hovering. It's called hazing, and it was trying to push the bear away from the town. And I literally said like, yeah, we're in polar bear territory, and then literally 5 minutes later there was a polar bear, and I got a quick glimpse of him, but he was running away, and they want to scare him out of town. Like, they don't want polar bears in the town, or they want to try and avoid that and avoid as much kind of interaction as possible. But we actually just found some polar bear tracks just like outside the hotel, which is just surreal. It's really surreal. So yeah, the next few days, I think it's just going to be amazing, and it is like a once in a lifetime trip, and it's such a bucket list trip for me, and it's such a meaningful trip for me. So we're going to be having 2 days out on the Tundra, and hopefully find and photograph some polar bears, and then tomorrow we're going to be going dog sledding, and that should be really nice. We've come dog sledding with Wapusk Adventures. You can probably hear all the dogs behind me. They're all getting rowdy, and they're all so beautiful. Hello. Hi. Hello. That's so beautiful. Literally my dream. Just so many dogs everywhere, and they're so rowdy at first, but then as soon as you come to them, they just calm and hello. This guy is my boy. Up. Hello. They just know, dogs, don't they? They just know. They just know what you need, and they know when you need cuddles. And you can just tell how well they look after the dogs here as well, because they're so healthy, but their temperament is beautiful. Like the owners just love them and treat them so well with so much respect, and that's how it should be done. What's your name? I don't know what your name is. Is the day. We are just about to head out on our Tundra buggy out onto the Tundra to hopefully go and find some bears. And we spent the last couple of days going to museums and speaking with Polar Bear International, and basically just kind of building our knowledge and education about the habitat here, about the polar bear population and everything like that. And now hopefully we get to go and see them in their natural habitat, hopefully. And last night when I was in bed, I heard a really loud bang outside, and I was like, there's every chance that there's a polar bear outside, because there's been a lot of sightings in the town over the last few nights, and it feels really crazy to say that, but that's just the reality here. So anyway, we're gonna head out. We're gonna be out on the Tundra buggy for 2 days, so fingers crossed we get some really amazing sightings. I don't actually have the best luck with bears, so I'm hoping that changes. Yeah, as you can see, it's like really windy and really snowy. But yeah, let's do this and hopefully we find some bears. So I am just back at my room after a day out on the Tundra finding polar bears. Today was just so special. We saw 9 polar bears. 9. That is just, it just blows my mind. So we saw 7 adults and we saw 2 cubs, And our very first encounter with a polar bear, and actually really my first like proper encounter with a bear. I've seen bears like from a great distance, but I've never seen a bear up close, and so for my first proper encounter to be that was just like amazing. But yeah, the first bear we came across was quite soon into the day, and he was actually quite far away, and he just came over to us and he just walked straight towards us, straight to the buggy. He was so calm and gentle and curious, and the pictures are really beautiful. And yeah, it was pretty emotional. So we saw our 9 polar bears, and we also saw a snowy owl, which was really cool. We saw a red fox, we saw lots of birds, and I mean really it's just down to chance what you see, because the area is so huge. So basically the polar bears are here, and they come around the Hudson's Bay on the coastline in October and November, because they're basically waiting for the Hudson's Bay to freeze up so they can go out on the ice and go and find seals and go and hunt. So they've actually been fasting for the past few months, because on the coast there's not really much food. So it's around this time that they all kind of come to the shore, and that's why they come around Churchill, because they're waiting for the Hudson's Bay to freeze. And it tends to freeze around November time, and then they'll be out on the ice up until around July maybe, and then they'll come back in. So there's been a lot of polar bears around the town. It's a really cool little town, and it's so different to anywhere I've ever been. So yeah, I mean this trip is very special for a number of reasons. It is special because this is something that's been on my bucket list for so long, and it's just amazing to be here, and I'm really grateful to be here, and it's a really amazing opportunity. But more so, it's a special trip for me, and it's probably going to be the most special trip I ever do in my life, because this trip is for my brother, my big brother, and I lost him recently. And this is a trip that he was so excited about. He was so proud of me and so excited for me, and he would have wanted me to come on this. So yeah, this is dedicated to him, and it's been really tough, but it's also been so special and memorable, and yeah, it's special and deep on just so many levels. So anyway, we actually have another day out on the Tundra buggy on the Tundra, so we're heading out in the morning for our second day, and I guess who knows what we're gonna see. So we've got day 2 out on the Tundra. We've just boarded the buggy, and the buggy is basically like a big giant bus with really big wheels. It's super tall, and we've got a viewing platform on the back, and it's kind of tall enough and safe enough that polar bears aren't going to try and kind of get in here. And we've got these windows that kind of like pop down, so you can hang out of the window with your camera, and it kind of can handle all terrain. So there's lots of seats, there's like a toilet on board, you have lunch on board and everything like that, and then you just head out, and we're going to spend the whole day out on the Tundra. Fingers crossed we have some more amazing bear sightings. So this is a viewing platform on the back of the Tundra buggy. So it's pretty big and we can all fit on here. It's very, very windy today and very, very cold. But it's beautiful, and the landscape of the Tundra is so unique. It's just so harsh and raw and just so wild, and the wind just gets crazy, especially around the Hudson Bay, and there's nothing to break up the wind. So it's very harsh and very extreme, and it's amazing that life thrives here. Now back in Vancouver. I got back very, very early yesterday morning and I didn't have a chance to finish this off on our last day on the Tundra, so I thought I would just fill you in on how the last day was. So I think I left it when we were kind of starting off our day in the Tundra buggy. We only saw, well, I say only, we saw one polar bear, which is still incredible, and he was beautiful, and he was eating some kelp and basically just waiting for the ice to freeze, because that's what the polar bears are doing right now. They're coming back to the shore, they're hanging around waiting for the ice to freeze, and once it does they can go out on the ice, they can find seals and they can hunt, and they can kind of stock up until next summer when the ice breaks up again, and then they come back to shore. So in the entire Hudson's Bay there's about 1,000, I believe. So really, I mean, the fact that we saw 9 polar bears on day one is honestly amazing, because you never know whether you're going to see one or not. They are completely wild. We are in their habitat, and you just don't know. So we saw 9 polar bears on day one, and we saw 1 polar bear on day 2, and we also saw again some snowy owls and some red foxes, and they're just beautiful. And I love watching and observing the polar bears' movements and their behavior and just how they walk, and they're so elegant and majestic, and they're just so beautiful. But their population, their existence and everything is really so fragile, because it doesn't take a lot for their habitat to shift completely. Even if the sea ice breaks up 2 weeks earlier in the summertime, and if it freezes 2 weeks later in the wintertime, those 4 weeks could have a huge impact on the polar bear population, on their health, on reproduction, on future generations of polar bears. And everything is so connected, and I think that's really what this trip brought home for me, because I think when you see polar bears on TV, when you watch David Attenborough shows on Planet Earth and that kind of thing, it feels very far away and it feels very removed. But seeing them in their habitat and realizing how fragile this all is, it really brought home the importance of sustainability and fighting global warming and fighting climate change, because small changes in temperature and sea levels and sea ice and seasons and everything, it massively impacts them. And Frontiers North, the company that we went with, they do really great work with Polar Bears International, which is kind of like the leading organization for research and conservation of polar bears. And they actually have a station out on the Tundra, so we went to their station, and they do loads of research into, you know, the population, their migration patterns, and the health of polar bears and everything like that. And so that was really great to chat with them. In terms of Frontiers North, like, the tour was just fantastic. The guides and the drivers were so knowledgeable. The drivers that we had have been doing this for over 20 years, and they really focus on sustainability and education, and I just really like the ethos of the company. And the tour that we did was the enthusiast tour, and it was, you know, more guided. There are a few different packages that you can do, but they basically cover everything. So they organize the flight from Winnipeg to Churchill, your meals are included, the hotels included, the buggy experiences are included, museums, everything like that. So it's kind of like a comprehensive package. And then they have they call it the Tundra Lodge, which is out on the tundra, and you can basically stay on the tundra for a few days. They have a really great setup, and that is kind of the prime place to see polar bears because you're out there all the time. And if wildlife isn't your thing, they have Northern Lights experiences and packages for kind of February, March time, and then they also have beluga experiences for the summertime because they do get a lot of beluga whales in the Hudson Bay, which is really cool. So Churchill isn't actually that far north, but it's because of the Hudson Bay that creates a very unique climate, and it's kind of one of the most southernmost places that you can see polar bears, but it is the most accessible really. Obviously there are polar bears in other parts of Canada, a lot further north, in Norway and Russia, but a lot of those are super remote. So that's why there is a lot of research that gets done in Churchill, and that's why it's called the polar bear capital of the world, because it's not accessible, but it's sort of the most accessible, and it's still very remote. But yeah, it was a really amazing week. It was amazing on, you know, the level of it's a bucket list thing for me. I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to go, but also, as I mentioned the other day, it was just such a deep and meaningful and special trip for me. When we saw our first polar bear, I cried so much, and it's what my brother would have wanted me to do, and he would have just loved it so much. And I think it was a really beautiful way to honor him and also just prove my strength to myself, and I feel like it did that. So it was very special. I hope this video has kind of given you a little bit of insight into the tour and what it would be like, and I hope you have enjoyed following along. So let me know in the comment box if you have any questions. I will pop a bunch of links in the description box down below if you want to learn more about the tours or the experience or anything like that, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.